Hey guys, Anna J. Wallner of Indie Author Chat, and I have Jeff Demarco coming back to join me tonight. And we've already had you on the show, but that was to talk about the anthology that you put together, which, by the way, guys, go check out that video. It's for a great cause. But today we are here to talk about you and your post-apocalyptic dystopian fiction. How did you get into writing the genre that you do?
Well, I suppose it started out with Cormac McCarthy's The Road. That was really the first foray into post-apocalyptic science fiction, and that's almost, if there is such a thing as, literary post-apocalyptic, that's it, because it's a great book. But I like just the feel of a post-apocalyptic world. Everything is, on one hand, a lot harder, and on the other hand, a lot easier, because they're kind of less moving parts to account for, if that makes sense. I mean, they're, presumably, if there were a post-apocalyptic event, God willing, there's not, but there would be less people in the world, and it's just interesting to me to build a world in my head that something has completely shattered the way things were, and then I have to think about the way things could be. And that's true of a lot of dystopian sort of writers. George Orwell comes to mind.
Absolutely. It's a genre that I enjoy reading, without a doubt, but it's something that I cannot write. So I don't have those. How do you create? There's a lot of world building that goes into, because as of yet, we've not experienced a post-apocalyptic dystopian world. So
well, we came close.
Yes.
With our pandemic, it was actually in 2019, one of the books that we're going to talk about, Tread Fallen Nation, basically gets kicked off with a viral pandemic.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Ask me about winning lottery numbers too. So,
Share, please.
Oh, yeah, 25, 34. Anyway, no, I like to write things that I'm comfortable with, and I'm not saying that, the end of the world I'm comfortable with, but I write military post-apocalyptic sci-fi. So a lot of my characters, I know who they are, I know what they do, I know what their capabilities are. And it's almost like I add in this external stimuli, like, oh my God, the world ends, or not the world ends, but some cataclysmic event happens, and now everybody has to react. And, on one hand, you have people that probably will flounder. On the other, you have people that will do all right. And then I occasionally like to have some characters that, have the intestinal fortitude and,
the guys you want on your team.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Well, and maybe one of the reasons why I enjoy reading it is because I live in Texas, and I've been through Hurricane Ike. I've been through Hurricane Rita. I've been through several tropical storms, and it is quite a different experience whenever you live without power for 2 weeks. So it almost seems like this partial, post-apocalypse. I mean, what it would be like. You get a taste of it for 2 full weeks of what it would be like if the power goes out, and it really makes you appreciate electricity.
Yeah. And all of those things, like our logistics system, are all things that I think of, like, what sort of, it was, I want to say it was like 2002 or 2003 where we had all those rolling brownouts throughout the whole country. And
I think I remember that. I was younger.
Well, you and me both. But no, that was just so interesting to see kind of how life manifested and continued under those circumstances when we don't have those when we don't have our phones, when we don't have lights, when we, and you're taking someone in the 1850s, oh, this is normal, but somebody now, obviously that's abnormal, and it's fun to see them react to it.
We definitely don't have a contingency plan in place to go without our creature comforts for too long. When you don't have TV for a little while, or if your cell phone goes dead, we're kind of a society that's dependent on technology and on, electricity. And so that's got to be interesting to a lot of world building too.
Oh yeah.
For you in all.
And I typically, as far as showing the world, you're showing the world. You can do a prologue. I do have prologues to say, hey, here's what's going on, but you're really showing the world through a particular set of eyes, because all of my stories are really character centric. So it's less about oh no, a virus got released, and more about how an individual overcomes it, or fulfills their mission, or whatever, and how they feel about it. So I'm really trying to show the world through somebody else's eyes, and obviously that gets skewed in one way or the other. So anyway.
So you've got Into Armageddon and Born of Chaos, which are part of the Ruler of Ashes series. Is there going to be a third installment in the series?
Oh yeah, there's going to be a third, fourth, fifth, possibly probably. I'm probably going to stop at 5. I'm probably going to wrap it up at 5.
So you've got lots of plans.
Oh yeah.
The series. When can we expect the next one, do you think?
For the Ruler of Ashes series, I'm thinking late 2021. So I have a work in progress that I'm going to actually seek like traditional publishing for, that I'm working on now. I have a handful of short stories. One of them is submitted to Apex magazine. We'll see. I don't know. I have the Tread series, book 2 is ready to go. I just need to put it out there, put it on pre-order, get it all set up, and then I'm all back into Ruler of Ashes.
I know it's tough whenever you have 2 separate series going on to.
Yeah, I know. I have all these voices in my head talking. It's wonderful.
Well, do you write primarily in first person or third person? What do you prefer? My
usual point of view is third person multiple. So do you want me to give you a little overview of let's say Into Armageddon?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So you have all of these expectant mothers that are brought to this underground facility in New Mexico. And basically they're given, some experimental treatment, and it makes their children especially gifted. Just to put it bluntly, telepathic and telekinetic. So, I can't remember where I was going with that. So anyway, one of them escapes, and these other 9 children that are in the facility start running these missions for this subversive government organization to basically maintain power for themselves while instituting their own brand of morality. And the same organization, has several scientists, and basically they've decided, okay, we failed. It's time to end things. So they release a virus into the atmosphere that I decided not to go with zombies. So it's no zombies. But I call them hunters, and basically they're apex predators. that are
Gotcha.
formed from humankind. It's heavily genetic engineering, as I mentioned. That I had that PhD cancer researcher guy working for me.
Gotcha.
So he helped me out quite a bit with that. And this girl comes back into play with her would-be father and mother figure. It's kind of a found family sort of a situation. And she's the one trying to either, convert all of these other children that have been fed kind of this false ideology. So yeah, we'll see if she wins. She might not. I don't know.
It sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
The whole series does.
Yeah, and it's set on Fort Sill. I think where I was going with that was I like to write places that I know. So one of their stops is Fort Collins, Colorado. I've lived there.
Would you? Yep.
Yep. Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I've lived there. Yeah.
They say to write what you know, and I guess that is true to a certain extent. Not exactly write what you know about having survived a post-apocalyptic dystopian society, but to bring in some of the aspects of places that you've been to help create that world building in a realistic way. So if anyone is familiar with Fort Collins, Colorado, or some of the other places that you talk about, then it draws them in as being very believable.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine that read it, that lives in Fort Collins, and he's just like, dude, you destroyed us. Why would you do that? Anyway, but yeah.
No, that's awesome. And so why did you get into the genre that you did instead of say sci-fi or fantasy? Why post-apocalyptic?
Because I didn't feel like thinking out like an alien race. I kind of like contemporary stories, because personally I identify with more contemporary characters, and all of these books are either really close to the future, or maybe like 10-15 years in the future in the case of my work in progress. And as far as what I read and what I watch, that has a lot to do with it, and just kind of paying attention. Like Tread, for instance, that sort of viral release scenario, that's not like, it's science fiction, but it's not like telepathic kids. It's just a virus that kills a lot of people.
It's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Exactly. And you have other powers that, whether or not you believe that certain entities exist in the world, which they do because people like power, could potentially happen. Now, Tread, what I was going to say about that is that came to me. I was watching a briefing by, I want to say it was like unclassified, so it's not anything like super secret squirrel stuff. But
no G14 classified.
No G14 classified. What was that? Gotcha. What was that? Transformers GS9. No, he was talking about the greatest threat to the United States. It was Department of Homeland Security or somebody in that ballpark of 3-letter organizations.
Gotcha.
Our greatest threat is a viral release. So, and that was in, I want to say I started that early 2019, maybe late 2018. And
just from a single news briefing, something that you saw on TV, you created an entire series from it. That's our writer's mentality. That's what we do. We see something so random and just pick it up, and before you know it, we've got a whole series planned in our mind.
Oh yeah. I actually have written all the way, like I've got just kind of everything broken down and structured to how I want the series to go.
You're a plotter.
to like book 5. Oh, I am a plotter. Yeah, you should see some of my spreadsheets. It's awesome.
See, I'm completely the opposite.
Oh yeah, you just seat of the pants.
Yes, absolutely. I
Mm-hmm.
start writing and then see where my characters take me.
Yeah.
But I have great admiration for people who have the patience and and the brain power to sit down and plot out everything in the book. I you know admire.
It's nice because I don't need to like take my laptop on vacation. I can just write down the scene that I want to write, or like, 2 or 3 scenes that I want to write while I'm gone, and I'll just write it longhand. And yeah.
See, I do take a notebook. Well,
Mhm.
pre 2020, I was never anywhere without a notebook.
Oh, well, there you go.
Because just to, but mine are random, very random. Don't have
Mhm.
them analyzed, or
Mhm.
I'd be committed. But it's just thoughts that pop into your head and
Mhm.
things like that.
One
So
of the best books, because I also edit, and
I was saving that for the end, but
oh, well, hey, we can talk about it at the end. But one of the best books. So let's say that there's a job that I don't want to take. I just randomly recommend this to whoever, when I was in my master's program, I would recommend it to fellow students. K.M. Weiland's Structuring Your Novel. And
okay.
basically it puts everything in building blocks. So like scene, sequel, so objective, obstacle, catastrophe, uh,
Solutions got to be in
reaction,
there somewhere.
dilemma. What's that?
I said solutions got to be in there somewhere.
Solution, yeah, and then decision. So that's what they're going to do, and
Gotcha.
everything kind of flows, and you can do little different combinations. Obstacle, catastrophe, and then go into the sequel portion. But no, that's just how I
And I feel like after you
started.
mentioned the name of that, I feel like I've seen that somewhere. I think that's made.
Yeah.
I think that someone has posted that in the writing community,
Hmm. It's
and
a
I've
great
seen
book.
it before. So,
So
but
anyway.
I, being that you have so many books that have already been published, and so many that are just waiting for their opportunity,
Mhm.
do you have any advice for people in the writing community as an independent author? Maybe something that you've learned the hard way that you wish you would have known in the beginning?
Oh my goodness.
Share with us some
Um,
secrets.
I mean, I know. Okay, so one of my, like, the first, not the first book I published, but the first book that I published under my own name, I rushed the heck out of it. Like, you're gonna be like, when you're at that finish line and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, man, I'm ready to go. Just stop and put it away for like a month. Like, I know you wanna make your personal deadline or whatever, but I remember some anecdote. There's the deadline that gets set, the deadline that's expected, and the real deadline is when the author finishes the work. So,
Good advice.
just don't don't rush to failure. Um, Definitely, I always tell people get an editor because I have an editor. So, but in lieu of that, get software and beta readers.
Beta
Um,
readers,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
In your target demographic, by the way.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Make sure that you do the research if you are writing a
Hmm.
dystopian post-apocalyptic book. Then you don't want to reach out to middle grade fiction readers
Yeah.
to have them read it,
I was
or romance groups
yes.
for your
I
betas.
was I was in a small group that formed from my graduate program, and I unfortunately had to say so long, just because one of them was writing a memoir, another one was very much
Yeah.
literary fiction, and it wasn't
W-
working
You
for me.
No, because you have to, that's the audience that's going to be reading your book, and if it doesn't resonate with them, then that's something that you want to know. If
Right.
it doesn't resonate with, say, a historical fiction group of beta readers, then I mean, that's not going to be useful to you for critiques and feedback.
Right.
So.
And for the record, I also used to write romance and Viking fantasy.
Really?
Those are never. I will never give away my pen names.
I was gonna say those are secrets.
Nope, those are secret. That it wasn't my best work, so it's all off of the market and
I understand.
away into a file somewhere.
I understand. There was one that I put out that I pulled back, that was me trying to write outside of my genre, and I found that I was most comfortable writing fantasy, young adult fantasy specifically. So that's where it kept pulling me back to, and I wanted to. Branding is important. So. As an author, so to start mixing a whole lot of genres, it does work for some authors. That let's face it, Stephen King could write a
children's book,
and you would read it. I mean, that's just the But for the majority, because he already has that branding and
credibility.
That platform, to stand on. But I think for newer authors that are just getting out there, to kind of establish a genre specific platform, and if you want to write something different, then maybe a different pen name or a different
like I'm trying to think. I think Stephen King has a pen name that is like female.
I know Anne Rice, when she was writing her romance, steamy romance series, she published under, I think it was Anne Rampling. So she published under a pen name.
I want to say it's Gertrude Stein. I want to say that's his.
That name sounds really familiar.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I think that is.
Yeah. Anyway.
But you had talked about, you mentioned it earlier, guys. Jeff has just finished his master's degree in December, and has and if you go to his website, which I checked out earlier today, he does editing. So if you're looking for an editor, are you taking on clients?
Oh yeah. And I mean, I have a few things that are going on in the next month or two, but I'm happy to take on new clients. My dance card isn't quite full yet.
Gotcha. So. Well, I appreciate you coming back and talking with me this evening, and so it was an honor to have both you and Z on a little while ago, and I mentioned how much I'd like to hear more about the work that you do specifically. So thanks for taking me up on the offer to come back and chat.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
All right, guys, stay safe. And if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on new and upcoming content.
That's right.
Thanks again.